Hey everyone, this is Ben with RegisteredNurseRN.com, and in this video I'm going to talk about pediatricians, and I want to give you the job overview, the education requirements, some of the likes and the dislikes about this job, and I'll also talk a little bit about salary statistics so you can know exactly how much money these individuals make on average. Okay, so let's get started. First off, what is a pediatrician anyway? Well, these are just simply doctors who specialize in treating babies, children, and then young adults up to the age of 21 years old. And they perform a variety of duties on the job, including treating and diagnosing common childhood illnesses and injuries. And I'll go over a few of the common job duties right now. First of all, pediatricians will perform well child exams, physicals, and other checkups for children. They will also prescribe medication to treat certain diseases or disorders. They will perform sometimes minor surgical procedures. They will also track the growth rates and weights for babies and children to make sure that they are growing and developing properly. They will identify any kind of behavioral or developmental problems. They will also track vaccination schedules and make recommendations on certain vaccines. And they will also collect, record, and maintain patient records, as well as performing consults for other physicians. So that's a little bit about the typical day in the life of a pediatrician. Now let's talk about the education requirements. What do you have to do if you want to become a pediatrician? Well, first of all, you're going to have a bachelor's degree from an accredited college, and that usually takes about 4 years. Once you get your degree, you will usually have to sit for the MCAT exam. That's an exam that you have to take, and you will have to score high enough in order to get into a college depending on whatever criteria they set. Next, you will have to go to medical school. That's another 4 years. And after you complete medical school, you will have to do a residency program. Now, residency for pediatricians is usually on the shorter end of the scale. It takes about 3 years unless you decide to specialize further, in which case it can take a little bit longer. So 4 years bachelor's degree, 4 years medical school, 3 years of residency, and of course you are going to have to be licensed in your state to practice. And additionally, you can optionally get certified through the American Board of Pediatrics. That's something that you can also consider. Now, let's talk about the likes and dislikes. What do pediatricians tend to like about their job, and what do they dislike about their job? Well, first of all, almost all of them will tell you that it is extremely satisfying to treat children, especially when they are suffering with some kind of illness or disease, and knowing that they have the ability to go in there and prescribe them a medication or diagnose them accurately and then treat whatever it is and bring them comfort and bring them back to health. They love that. That's one of the biggest perks. Another thing is that most people who are pediatricians do feel like this is a calling. They do just feel called to work with children and young adults, and they love their job. Another thing is that they really enjoy watching a child progress in age and knowing that they had a little bit of an impact in that person's life. Another thing is, of course, you earn a pretty good salary, but I will say this, a lot of pediatricians will tell you that the salary, even though it's really good, that's not the biggest draw for them. It's usually just helping children, and they love what they do. In fact, I remember one survey, I think it was the American Academy of Pediatrics or something like that, back in 1992, and like 80% of pediatricians said that they were either satisfied or highly satisfied with their job. So most pediatricians really like their line of work. Now let's talk a little bit about the dislikes. What do pediatricians tend to dislike about their job? Well, first of all, they don't like to witness signs of physical or sexual abuse or neglect, and that is something that they will sometimes witness, and that's of course very heartbreaking. Another thing is that they dislike having the feeling of being unable to help a child in pain. And of course, some of the children that they will see may have like a terminal disease like cancer or something like that, and that can be very difficult to deal with. Another thing is that it can be quite exhausting because pediatricians can work anywhere from 40, maybe up to 60 hours per week plus, especially when they're fresh out of medical school. So as you can imagine, it takes a lot of work. In fact, there's a joke. What do you do if you want to hide something from a doctor? Well, you put it in his or her house because they're almost never there. Another thing is that, of course, babies do cry. So babies will pitch fits, cry, throw temper tantrums, and things like that. And that can sometimes be a little bit frustrating. Now let's talk about salary and jobs information so you can know how much money pediatricians make. First of all, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that is the government agency that collects and records jobs data. All this information comes from that organization, and these numbers are accurate as of 2014. but they predicted a 14% growth rate for all physicians in general between years 2014 and 2024. So they are expecting some growth for doctors. And according to their statistics, there were 31,010 pediatricians in the United States. Now, that did not include self-employed individuals, but that just kind of gives you an idea of how many pediatricians are out there. As far as the average salary for a pediatrician in the U.S., it was $175,400. The average hourly wage, $84.33. Now, of course, a lot of things can influence that. That's just average. Some pediatricians may make more than that. Some may make a little less. Some of the factors that can influence that is the state in which you live, the industry in which you work, how much experience you have, and so forth. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that real quick. What were the industries with the highest employment levels for pediatricians? Well, the highest industry was offices of physicians, and the average salary there was $179,170. General medical and surgical hospitals came in at number 2. $165,370 was the average salary for that industry. And then outpatient care centers, number 3, $177,190 was the average there. What about the top paying industry? Who paid pediatricians the most money? Well, specialty hospitals came in at number 1. The average salary there, $209,140. Employment services came in at number 2. $202,370 was the average there. And then local government agencies, number 3, $189,300. What about the states? Which states paid the most money? Well, the top state, Montana, number 1, $236,690 was the average there. Utah came in at number 2, $236,410. And then South Dakota, number 3, $227,200 was the average there. Now, what about the lowest paying states? Well, District of Columbia came in at number 1, $89,600 was the average. West Virginia, number 2, $94,010. And then Pennsylvania, number 3, $140,690 there. Now, this is a continuation of a series I've been doing on a lot of different healthcare salaries like doctors, nurses, x-ray techs, and all kinds of salaries. So if you want to see more videos, please check out a playlist. I'll put a link to that in the description. And I also have salary statistics for all 50 states. So if you want to see how much pediatricians earn in your state, if it was not mentioned here, then check that link in the description and you can go and check out the article on our website. So thank you so much for watching, and please consider subscribing.